Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and, well, that's pretty much it. So, let's go!
This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we rank all of the albums from the band or artist that we're doing this week. And this week we're doing Jane's Addiction. So we're going to rank their 5 records, and this includes their debut record, their live record. So we're going to be doing that one too. We're also going to, before we do that, we're going to do our 6 Degrees of Tom DeLonge. And while we're getting into that, go to iTunes, go rate, review, and subscribe to us on there. Follow us on social media at Asinine Radio. If you don't already know, my name is Tyler. Way out there, hundreds of miles away, way out there in the ether, is Jeff. So let's just jump right into our 6 Degrees of Tom DeLonge. If you don't know what this is just look up the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, same idea, but with Tom DeLonge. So let's do this. I have 3. I have 3 6 Degrees of Tom DeLonge. How many?
I have 3. I have 3 also. One's kind of cheating. I guess I'll do my cheating one first, but I have 3 also.
For it. Go for it.
Okay, so Dave Navarro,
yes,
played guitar on "You Wanna Know" by Alanis Morissette.
It's true, he did. Yeah,
Alanis Morissette dated Ryan Reynolds for a bit.
He did, correct.
And then here's the cheating part. Ryan Reynolds was in the show, 2 guys and a girl that had Blink on it.
Oh, yeah.
But we already talked about that, so that was kind of cheating.
We did talk about it. Yeah. That's still good though. It's a obscure pull, but it works. I'm proud of you. So my 3, they're all pretty easy. I mean, this is a really easy one, and so what I tried to do, I started with a different band member, and then I ended with a drummer that has played with Tom DeLonge. Ooh. So I kind of themed it a little bit. So it all ends with a drummer that has played with him. So we're going to start with Stephen Perkins, the drummer for Jane's Addiction, obviously. He also played drums with Infectious Grooves. Rob Trujillo also played bass in Infectious Grooves. Rob Trujillo is also the bass player for Metallica. Bob Rock has produced several of Metallica's records. Bob Rock has also produced several albums from The Offspring. If you don't know, Adam Willard played with The Offspring for several years, and Adam Willard also played with Tom DeLonge in Angels and Airwaves.
Did not know that. That's interesting.
Well, now you know. Now you know. Now you know. Even though you knew, but now you know again. So what do you got for your other one?
I have one that's really, really stupid and runabout, so I'm gonna save that one for last. This one, fuck, I didn't write his last name. So this guy Greg, sorry, Greg. I did write his last name. I just, because I'm on the computer now, it's split up into pages, so I have to go down a page.
Okay.
Not on my phone.
Man,
again, Dave
hard,
Navarro. Huh? Yeah, computers are hard. Computers are hard. Dave Navarro. He hosted a show. Called Ink Masters, and the show had a bunch of guest judges on. One of which was this guy named Greg Capullo.
Okay.
You may know him because he did a lot of work with Todd McFarlane, and he I guess illustrated the cover art for Follow the Leader.
Correct. Yes, he did.
Yeah. So this guy Greg, he also did the artwork for a Disturbed album that had Johnny K as a producer. Whoever the fuck Johnny K is. Johnny K.
Okay.
Well, and Johnny K also produced a Plain White T's album. The album Every Second Counts. That's their most famous one. The one with the Hey There Delilah.
Yeah, bad song, but okay.
Well, that's not a bad song. It's fine.
It's not that good.
He produced that album. The Plain White T's were on the Frankenweenie soundtrack, and so was Robert Smith. Robert Smith did this song, where he said, "Yes, me, Holly." He actually didn't sing that part, but that
He
was
didn't
part
sing
of the
that part,
song. But he sang with Tom DeLonge in Blink-182. So there's that.
That's true. That wasn't your roundabout one?
No, my roundabout one is fucking ridiculous.
Because that one was pretty ridiculous too.
Oh, just
All right,
wait.
so this is the shortest one I got, and this is also goes into another drummer who's played with Tom. So we start with Eric Avery, the bass player for Jane's Addiction. Eric Avery, after leaving Jane's Addiction for many years, he joined Nine Inch Nails for a period of time. And the current drummer for Nine Inch Nails, who's been in Nine Inch Nails for a long time, is Elon Rubin, who is also the drummer for Angels and Airwaves with Tom DeLonge. So that was the easiest one for me. Super easy.
The easiest one would have just been Blink played Lollapalooza.
Yeah, that's true.
Done.
That could have been really easy. That could have been very easy.
All right, so here's this. Here we go. You ready for this one? You sitting down?
I've been sitting down for hours.
Yeah. Okay. So Charlie Bisharat, he plays violin on this album, or album of the week, I should say.
Okay.
He's also a member of Shadowfax, which now that you're a newfound Lord of the Ringsman, you should know Shadowfax as the name of Gandalf's horse. But this guy, Charlie Bisharat, all that stuff, irrelevant. Charlie Bisharat also has toured with Yanni. He's toured with Yanni, right? Dude, Yanni, like he's iconic. He's the best ever. He's the GOAT.
He's iconic. He's popular.
He's the GOAT.
Popular.
He is the GOAT of boring music. Yanni did the soundtrack for the TV movie You Were Made for Me, which starred Fred Savage.
Okay.
Fred Savage was in an episode or two of Hannah Montana, obviously starring Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Miley's latest album had this guy, Andrew Watt, on there doing various things, producing, background vocals, writing, bass guitar, whatever. But Andrew Watt,
I know where you're going with this.
Andrew Watt wrote song for Five Sauce, and obviously Five Sauce had Feldman as a producer way too many times, and he was way too involved in Five Sauce. But Feldman to Blink to Tom. So there's
wasn't
that one.
I thought you were going a different way with this. Wasn't Andrew Watt the guy who was with Posty when he did the Nirvana set?
Yeah. What was he there? Because he's worked with Post
I think
Malone.
he worked with Post Malone on the Ozzy Osbourne, his last album. But I think he was the guy who was playing bass or something during that performance, or maybe like the extra guitar on that performance.
I think the guy playing bass was like an Asian dude.
Okay, then maybe Andrew Watt was the other guy playing guitar.
Probably, but
because obviously Posty was playing, but
he has done stuff with Post Malone and whatever. I mean, like more recently this year, he did something with Post Malone for the Pokemon anniversary, the 25th anniversary for Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Post Malone released a single, and Andrew Watt was the one who produced it. One of the ones who produced it.
Got it. That was very roundabout. Yeah.
I wanted to use.
You brought Yanni up.
I wanted to use a four member of the band, and then when I saw Yanni, I really wanted to use Yanni. So
that is obscure for sure. Obscure. Okay, so this last one here is a different member from Jane's Addiction, and it's Dave Navarro. So we have Dave Navarro, who was supposed to replace Slash in Guns N' Roses after Slash was fired or quit, whatever. But Dave Navarro just ended up not showing up to like 4 different rehearsals, and then they were like, fuck you, you're not playing with us. But then also Dave Navarro ended up playing guitar on a Guns N' Roses song later in the 90s. So we have that. We have Dave Navarro to Guns N' Roses to Slash. Slash was on a Transplant song on their last record, and then Travis Barker is the drummer for Transplants. Travis to Tom and Blink. Boom,
that was a quickie too, though.
Yeah, it was quick and easy.
I mean,
quick and easy.
Before we even, I don't even know. I want to talk about that because, dude, that's so cool. To not show up to multiple auditions for Guns N' Roses for whatever reason.
And this
so
is after
awesome.
they had just blown up. They were already Guns N' Roses were on top of the world, and he didn't show up.
I'm sure it's because of a heroin thing, but
Oh yeah, totally. I'm sure.
I don't know. It's fucking cool. When I read that, I kind of like smiled like, wow, dude, Dave Navarro
Ballsy.
was way more badass than I ever gave him credit for.
Yeah, I ended up liking him more. Not necessarily his guitar playing, but just him more in general. But okay, so yeah, that's our 6 rookies with Tom DeLonge. Let's get right into the album ranking. So we're doing
There you
Jane's
go.
Addiction. We're doing their 5 records. So this includes their first live record because it's pretty much a record. It's their debut record, just not a studio. So we're gonna go from worst to best. So what do you got for number 5, Jeff?
Again, like the Static X listen through, none of these are bad. They aren't as good as others, but I feel like our bottom 2 hopefully will be the same. If not, just
See.
reverse
We'll fucking
order of
see.
the 2. But this wasn't a bad listen through at all. But their last album, The Great Escape, Artist,
Okay.
that's 2011. This wasn't bad. It was very much in the vein of Stray, but this one just had like a little more pop and almost like an electronic influence to it. Reminded me of a lot of Radiohead, and it was just weird. It wasn't bad. It was just above average, and I'll get more into why I think this is just whatever's when I get into Stray, but whatever. But yeah, I didn't really have any playlistable songs here. None of these songs were stinkers, but there was nothing here that really clicked with me. And so this
Okay.
is this is whatever's to me. Wasn't bad though.
Wasn't bad. Okay. I see what you mean. So my number 5. So I will say, I don't necessarily agree with you. Like there are the bottom 2 records here. I would never ever listen to again. Not to say that they're bad,
But you
but
rate him as like a
I
one
just-
though. Like you just
No,
listen to
no.
him once.
listen to them once, but they're not bad. So I mean, my bottom 2, I'd probably give like a 1.5. So, but I would never go back to them because it's like they have just much better records, So their worst record is Strays, for sure. Strays. This is like a record that I feel like they didn't put a lot of like, I don't want to say thought, but just there's just no energy on this record. I felt like I was just listening to the same thing on loop every song. There was just it wasn't exciting at all. And then reading more about it, this is like a huge selling record. Like this blew up. And then I thought, oh, it's probably because it was the first record they did in like 9 years. So that's probably why it was so popular.
Yeah.
But I don't get it. I don't think it was that great of a record, but it was cool. I didn't have a bad time listening to it. Not at all.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to pick a song, it would be Hypersonic because it was faster. But that's also one of the things that really lacked on this record was the excitement, was the energy, and I don't know. It was whatever. It was okay. So that's my number 5, Strays.
Okay.
So what do you got for 4?
That's my number 4. That's
Figured as much.
That's their third album. It was fucking a decade and a half later, 2003. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I didn't realize there was so much time in between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Like that was,
I thought
it was
they had
almost
more records.
15 years.
I know. It's
So
crazy,
that was,
right?
it was surprising. Looking at the timestamp on it, I thought this was going to be awful. I thought this was going to be a cash grab, which it kind of was. But I thought it was going to be awful, and it wasn't awful. It was fine. It was fun. A little too alt rock for me. But I think my biggest problem with Stray and then the Great Escape Artist, if you took Perry Farrell's voice out of the band entirely, the rhythm section doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up in any kind of unique sense that they did with their first 2 or 3 that I guess that we'll talk about. But they're not Jane's Addiction at this point. They're just like a cover band, or they're like Perry Farrell featuring, members of other bands playing Jane's Addiction songs. There's nothing unique about them. They don't. We'll get into it later because what makes them unique is also kind of what I don't like to love about this band is what makes them unique.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
But like, first of all, I totally forgot about the song Superhero. Like Entourage, the show Entourage on HBO.
Oh, yeah. I never really watched Entourage.
I watched that show because I used to hang out with these twins when I worked at Fridays. Do you remember the twins?
Vaguely.
They're fucking Nick and John. We went to one of the
Sounds
parties.
so
I had a person I was dating, and it was a whole thing, and she almost died at one point. Like,
Oh,
back in my
that
car,
incident.
and
Yeah, that incident. Yeah.
But like the twins, I used to hang out. They loved Entourage. They got me into Entourage, and the intro to Entourage was a song Superhero. So that was kind of cool listening to Superhero, and I totally forgot about that song. But it's not my favorite. I was just nostalgic about that one. The song The Riches, that's my favorite song here. I think that song's a banger. It's this cool guitar intro that's like palm muted and then clean and sort of slides around until it drops into this really heavy bass line. And it's almost in a 6-minute song, but like the last minute is just this really nice, soft, catchy melody. And it's cool. It goes somewhere.
I don't even remember that song. I don't remember that song at all.
That was the only one on this album that really struck me. The last two for me, you could have switched them back and forth. It doesn't really matter. I think they're both the same. They're both just like a poor reiteration of what Jane's Addiction used to be.
I'm with you because my number 4 is The Great Escape Artist. This is barely better than Strays. It just, to me, it sounds a little bit more fun. Like they were having a little bit more fun when they made this record, and it kind of showed. But outside of that, there's nothing really memorable about it. It's not bad. The listen through was fine. It wasn't miserable, but like I said, I'm never going to go back to these. I don't really have a favorite. There was nothing that stood out to me on this one. And like I said, the only thing that made this one better to me was that it sounded more fun. But yeah, this record's whatever. I got nothing more on this era of the band or this record, because it didn't need to happen. There's no point in having Jane's Addiction after the album of the week, The Ritual de lo Habitual. But yeah, anyway. So that was my number 4. What do you got for number 3?
Okay, my number 3 is their first album, their first official studio album, self-titled Jane's Addiction, 1988. This is pretty.
This is the live album.
No, the live album was 1987. Their first official one. No, you're right. No, you're right.
The self-titled.
Their self-titled is their live album.
Live one.
Nothing Shocking is the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. So Nothing Shocking is your number 3.
Yes. Again,
okay.
I don't use the computer a lot, so there's a lot of. I got to scroll up and down with the notes, and it's not a.
Computers are hard. Computers are
hard. Number 3, their first album, Nothing Shocking. This was pretty good. I didn't think they could do a lot of these sounds, and then bring some real heat. So, I guess like my introduction to Jane's Addiction will come later, but like Eric Avery has some fucking truly phenomenal bass parts in this album. Maybe some of like the best he's ever done. And there's some really complex instrumental parts and some really great leads that I never realized Jane's Addiction could do. Because we initially were going to do this album. This was the album of the week.
True.
We changed it after listening to other ones, but this was the one we were going to do. And I think this is a phenomenal album. This is a surprisingly good album that I never got into Jane's Addiction because Jane Says is okay and it's fine, whatever. But whatever, I don't know. Nothing Shocking is a good album. I really liked it. I will probably go back to this. I would probably give this like a solid 2 because I would go back to this.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
definitely.
not bad.
Definitely.
But
not bad at all.
Summertime Rolls. There's this soft, clean like riffage, and I think it's so calming. It's just so good. I think Dave Navarro is a really good guitarist.
He is good, but
I think he's like.
I'll get
really
more into
good.
it. I'm not going to get more into it. Well, I
That's my
definitely
number.
have things to say about him on the main episode. But okay, so your number 3, Nothing Shocking. My number 3 is the live record, the self-titled. So the first thing that they put out, which is so weird when you think about it, that their first record is a live record, you just never see that. But it makes sense because a lot of bands play live for like 6 years and don't put out any full lengths, but they just play like 1,000 shows. But it's like, why wouldn't you just put out a live record? And Jane's Addiction did that, so I think they did it the right way, which is really cool, really cool.
This should be like standard.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. We were talking about Deftones on the last episode. Deftones started in 1988, but they didn't put their first record out until 1995. You got 7 years there of nothing. Bomb Pops are the same way too. They didn't put their first full length out until 2017 or 2016, after being a band since 2009. It's like, why wouldn't you just put out a bunch of live records? It's so weird to me. So weird.
Yeah.
But anyway. So this is my third best. I was expecting a little more because you kind of hyped it up a little bit for me, and I didn't really know what I was getting into, and maybe I was a little underwhelmed, but it's still really good. It's very good. It's a great representation of the band, and some parts I just did not like at all. There's one particular song.
The song, my favorite song.
Is it My Time?
Oh no.
Okay, God. Dude, that song was terrible. It was terrible. It was bad. Dude, that harmonica in it, oh my God. It was so awful. It was so bad. I couldn't believe it. There was a lot of good stuff, but I really like the Rolling Stones cover of Sympathy for the Devil. That was really good. I wasn't expecting it at all, and that was probably my favorite one. It comes toward the end of the record, I think, but it was really good.
I mean,
I'm gonna a lot.
I'm gonna say that I think Perry sang it better than the Stones did. I thought it fit the song better. I thought it was a little more kind of eerie, a little more weird, a little more quirky, a little a little more punk than the Stones did it.
But also Mick Jagger is pretty overrated.
Oh,
just saying.
I think he's adequately rated.
He's overrated. He's overrated for sure.
No, we only got fucking 1,000 fucking number one hits and everything, but that's fine.
Oh God, Rolling Stones are just not that great.
Oh
but
my God,
some of their stuff
Tyler.
Is good. Some of their stuff is good. Go listen to that episode. We really got into that episode. That was a long week.
That
was a really long
week.
Wasn't
that long.
Dude, it was a lot. It was a lot of work. That and Deep Purple were those were really long, tough weeks for me. Both good, but just really it was so much work. But more so than the Bob Dylan for sure. And that's definitely the case.
Because the Bob Dylan is like the opposite of what Bob Dylan embodies everything you hate about music.
I know, but I think what it was like, there's so much history within like the lineups and the stories and all that kind of stuff with Rolling Stones and Deep Purple.
Oh, that's true.
But with Bob Dylan, it's just like you got one dude who does literally the same thing. It's one dude doing the same thing for fucking 50 years. But all
century.
So like the lineup changes and all the crazy stories, the backstabbing, it was a lot more work. So
that's true. That is true. I'll give you that.
But yeah, so that was my number 3. So what's your number 2?
Number 2 is actually their first self-titled, whatever, live album, 1987. The year we was born.
Yeah, I know.
Bro.
Crazy, right?
This is I get it. This album, much like their last two, this didn't have any of the really unique Jane's Addiction stuff outside of some of the Perry Farrell vocals. Mm-hmm. But even like his vocals weren't as exaggerated as he would normally do on Nothing Shocking or Ritual. Dude, that's a hard one. Ritual.
This is going to be a tough episode.
Nobody who says fucking ritual? Nobody says that word. It's a stupid fucking word. A lot of people say it. No, what in like common conversation? You're coming up to people using the word ritual. You're in some weird circles. You're in some weird circles.
Get out of here.
When would you use the word ritual?
In a situation where you need to use the word ritual, obviously.
Get the fuck out of here with your fucking ritual. Yeah, this live album is absolutely phenomenal. I think this is dude, this is just such a banger. This is such a cool like a glimpse into what will become. And like you said, like a lot of bands start off doing multiple years of live stuff. Why not just throw it onto an album? This came about because they signed to Warner, but Warner was like, yeah, so we're gonna make you put an album out on our label, and they're like, nah, we want to put our first album 100% needs to be put out on, I think it was Triple X Records, who is an LA based record label, indie, small budget shit. And so this one came out on the Triple X Records, and they got like $300,000 for putting an album out on a record label that wasn't Warner. So that's I mean, even that's like fucking unheard of and makes no sense.
Especially nowadays, when
from
budgets,
a corporate standpoint.
Especially with bands nowadays, like their budgets are probably a fraction of that for like the big bands too. It's
like just think like this huge company, Warner, says like, yeah, we'll give you $300,000 to put out your first album on a record label that isn't us. That's what happened here. Mm-hmm. And that's I mean, that's all managerial. That's their agent. Whoever's making those decisions for them did a fantastic job. But anyway,
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff on this album that were never released on album, like on their subsequent 4 albums later, and that are absolute bangers. 1%. Mm-hmm. The song 1% is a fucking banger.
Oh, that was a good one too.
It is a phenomenal song. But my favorite Jane's Addiction song, the song that made me want to do Jane's Addiction as our album of the week, as our band of the week, was I Would For You. It's a slow song. It's a semi-acoustic jam. Dude, it's based around 2 chords. It's just up and down, up and down. It's just free-flowing melody. And this song like maxed out my interest in Jane's Addiction. And he just talks about like the man from the He says, the man from the government, the man. That's how he sings all the time.
Yeah, I know.
And like, it's just, dude, that song got me in the feels. I don't know if because I was like drinking. I don't know what was going on, but that song got me good. Yeah. And I think I even like sent you the song the next day and was like, dude, we got to do Jane's Addiction now. And this was like the last of a long string of songs my neighbor had showed me of Jane's Addiction, of how good they are, how good they were. But yeah, that's my number 2. Oh, also Limp Bizkit did a cover of my favorite song, I Would For You, at Family Values 99. Yeah.
Oh, the 99. Okay. And I've never heard it.
Much as you can imagine Fred Durst singing.
It's terrible.
Perry. Oh, it's fucking awful, but he knows it's awful, and he kind of prefaces it by saying so, and it's fucking terrible, and it's so fun.
Kind of like when they did Behind Blue Eyes, kind of similar to that.
That was a good cover though.
That was a terrible cover. No, that's stupid. Dumbest thing you've ever
Number
seen.
2, yeah, Jane's Addiction. They're
okay.
0.5 album, I guess.
Yeah, they're 0.5. Okay, so my number 2 and my number 1. I think they're the same. That like I think they're equally as good, and that's so I'm gonna have to put my number 2 as Nothing's Shocking, just because so we could wrap it up. But yeah, no, this album was. So I listened through it. I'm like, okay, this is really good. But then I got like a few songs into Ritual, and I thought, okay, we got to do this record instead. We just got to do it. So that's when I texted you, said, let's do Ritual instead. And we agreed. But then I went back and I listened to both records. I listened to Nothing's Shocking 3 times this week, and I listened to Ritual 4 times.
Damn.
And they both are just solid records. They're both really good. So I can't put one above the other. I really can't. I mean, they're both pretty different from one another, but man, there's some great stuff. Nothing Shocking. The song Had a Dad. I mean that song is so sick. Dave Navarro's guitar playing on this one is just top notch, and that guitar solo, so good. It's so good, and I feel like this is like a better even though it's like a studio recording, I feel like this better represents the band in a live setting than their live record does. Like I went back and watched I watched a bunch of videos, old live videos from like the early 90s and late 80s, and I will say they're not as like fun and interesting as everybody leads me to believe, but they're still good. They were still really good live, and I feel like this is a great representation of their live sound, more so than their live record, which is so weird, but it's good. I think Nothing Shocking is fantastic.
I think that's because, dude, Jane's Addiction has such a horrible history within itself. And I think the live album they put out was kind of the last time it was just four friends playing music together. Maybe a little bit in Nothing Shocking. It was like four friends playing music, but for sure Ritual was two addicts and then one way overzealous front man and then a guy that played drums. Otherwise, like they were never a band again. After like their first like live album, they were never really a band again.
I can totally see that.
I don't know.
Yep.
Tragic.
Yep. It is. So I guess that just kind of that's it. So that's it for the rankings because we both agree Ritual is number one. And stay tuned for the main episode because we're going to get into that and it might be fun. I don't know. We'll see. So that's it.
It might.
That's all. David Jabby.
Yeah.